We're back with part 2 of the Melbourne Pro Punters panel. Darren Potter, Jake Henson from Top Betters with us. It's a busy time coming up, Jake. There's some big tournaments coming up, I'd imagine, with the carnival here.
Who won the tournament? Who won the 100 grand?
Old mate only had 2 bets for the whole day. Happened to be, one of them I think was the Sydney horse that won race 3, Palazzo Pullico.
Wow.
So that helped, and then he had another one.
Otherwise known as Brent Zarafa's horse.
Yeah, but might have been BZ tipping him in. So yeah, that was he got to the lead with 2 roughies early and then held on, which is not normally what you see winning the big ones. Normally you've got to shove. Where he sort of found one he liked and thought, well, if you do the maths on it, it's 28 to 1 chance, and he's turned his 100 into 25, I think it was. So
he's done well.
It's a nice little inflated odds.
So keep your eyes out for those punters. There'll be some big ones coming up. Cox Plate Day this week, and then into the 4 days at Flemington. So there'll be plenty of big tournaments there at Top Better. And if you headed to one to follow on Saturday and got pots of set, you were like me, you're as full as a state school.
Well, the bloke that won the tournament didn't go and get, because that's the only winner I didn't back.
Well, there was one winner that I think you would have liked to have been on, and some of the stuff that I get, there was 2 or 3 blokes all matched up on it, which was Hellbent Pots.
Yes.
But we had an issue.
Yeah. I mean, I just... me and Juppy were talking about this on the phone the other day, and I said, then they're horses, not furniture. You can't just go moving them around, particularly on a windy day when they're all fired up. And I would think that the Weir stable is well within their right to be extremely upset about what happened.
Well, I think it shows a little bit of a lack of organisation on Lee Jordan's, but I don't know whether it's directly him, but he's the international scout, so I assume he's liaising with all these international stables. It does hark back to our archaic biosecurity rules that we have here. Some of them need revisiting in this day and age. And apparently under the biosecurity rules there has to be a two stall gap or something along those lines in between the horses, and so Hellbent had to get moved, and of course Hellbent didn't appreciate that and he kicked off, and then the next thing you know he was coming out, and he was probably one of the most well-backed things of the day. And
he was the best back run on the day, without a doubt. He was going to be, would have been anchored in God knows how many.
Well, that leads us to our next things.
And the quaddie, I mean, Jesus, I know things happen in racing, but, wow.
And this is probably why, and Potts and I have discussed this, this is probably why quaddies are a bad idea. Because you just, like, all of a sudden, you think you're on your best bet of the day, probably one out in the quaddie, and if you'd managed to jag the 2 legs, well, they have the lovely cash out offer now, but I'm tipping that'd be half a gouge like the rest of the cash out offers, and you were left with Wild Rain, who you were probably keen to oppose.
Well, that could well have been the case, but I mean, for those that ended up getting the quaddie, they got a much better dividend than they should have got, because Wild Rain, if Wild Rain had won, the quaddie would have paid a terrible dividend, because all of the Hellbent money goes on to her. It's just... It's a bit crazy, really. I've never been sure I'm not a quaddie punter, so I've never put a lot of thought into it. I don't know what the right answer is, but there has to be a better answer than the one we've currently got.
Well, Andre Casse came up with an interesting one that I didn't think was that hard to implement. He goes, why don't 50% go on to the first favourite, 30% to the second favourite, and 20% to the third favourite, and just at least spread the risk out a little bit?
Yeah,
because then you're a chance to at least get some of your stake on something that you might actually want to be on. Because often in a quaddie, like from what I've learnt and through my time in the game, like I've come across some blokes that do make money out of quaddies, and how they do it is by isolating the things that aren't value in the quaddie legs and then betting around them. So when you do get the sub, you finish up on something that you don't want to be.
I remember growing up, the Daily Double was a big thing in Sydney, and they used to have a special dividend if there was a late scratching. Can't they have a special dividend for 3 legs and the scratching or something?
There's got to be. We've got to get some smarter people to sit down at the table and to discuss that. But that would require leadership, which currently we don't have a lot of, Mike, because David Moody's been stood down and John Massara's retiring. So one tweet that I thought was very interesting was from Anthony.
Isn't Racing.com's?
Yeah, and Scott Perrin has stood down as well.
Yep.
So Anthony Mithen, who's got Rosemont Stud down there, he put up a really interesting tweet. Well, with no leadership there at the moment, isn't this a real good time to actually maybe having a look and seeing if we can form a national body then? Because they've offered they've offered the job at Victoria to Brian Cook, who rejected it. And there was another candidate who...
To the Geelong bloke, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
And a very good administrator.
Yeah.
And they offered it to someone else, and they've knocked it back. So maybe this time that we can have a look at it, and then we might be able to get some sort of synergy there. But who knows? It's a bit of a shambles. And of course, the late Friday afternoon news dump wasn't a good idea right on the eve of the Caulfield Cup. So it's just another example of racing shooting itself in the foot a bit.
Well, we've had no shortage of things to moan about all year, Juppy, have we? You know what I mean? And now you understand why. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to describe the situation as anything other than dysfunctional, really. I don't know. It's hard to understand how it could possibly get to this state, but what the answers are, I really don't know. It just seems to be a very complicated. You've got the Race in Victoria, then the 3 clubs, and I really don't know. You know, it's not my job to come up with the answers, but you just wonder how you could get yourself into such a pickle. And
it's very difficult to get a candidate for it, because if you get someone like John Massara, who knows the industry intimately, he's then accused of having conflict of interest. And then if you get someone completely from the outside, then they don't have the game at heart, it seems. So you seem to be on a hiding to nothing.
What can I just say? I just hope, I hope. I'm not religious, but I'll start praying if I have to, that we get someone in charge that really understands wagering.
Yeah, that'd help.
You know, that would be the biggest step in the right direction. So, I mean, you know, preferably, how about someone from Hong Kong that, you know, understands that it doesn't have to be a tote-only model, you know what I mean?
We can look after
Understands
the
fixed
customer.
odds.
Yeah.
But it'd be lovely to have someone from Hong Kong where they've got very much a wagering focus, and they've gone from strength to strength to strength. And we seem to go from one debacle to another, and the game survives because it's of its own innate qualities, you know what I mean? It's such an intriguing, fascinating, exciting game. It could be so much more than what it is, and we just need someone at the helm to let it flourish.
Richie Irvine might have to start a little bit of a whip around, see if we can get one of the pro punters. I think that's what it's going to take. Honestly, is someone's going to have to really sort of sacrifice what they're doing now that knows it, because there's just not that many people that know it well enough. I don't think. Might be one of you blokes.
Oh, I've got a big enough taxation problem as it is if they're taking on them. It depends I'll fire it in. I'll see what they say.
I mean, the problem is you need to have a resume that they deem suitable, and that the minister deems suitable, and you know, obviously none of us fit that bill, and most professional punters probably don't. But I mean, they've been down the same track over and over again with the same type of professional administrator, and it keeps ending in difficulty.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know what the resumes look like of those guys that have run Hong Kong all these years, or do you know what I mean? But we certainly need someone that really, really understands wagering. So
back to the track pots. You managed to find the winner of the first there on Saturday in Jennifer Lynn when that Zol speed was sort of the big tip around. Everyone wanted to be on it, came up short, but you managed to have something on the winner.
Well, look, I think the key to Saturday, I said it when I did the podcast with Matt, was that because the week before we'd had all the favourites just rolling in, the corporates were very defensive on the favourites, wanted to put them, naturally we're trying to put them up short.
Yep.
If you were a bit creative, used a bit of imagination and tried to find the horses that were slightly out of the market that, you know, could have been overlooked, that's where the opportunities were on Saturday, and race 1 was the best example of it. So we did save on the favourite, who was well and truly over bet, but we also backed Jennifer Lynn and Petition, and they ran the Quinella, so that was a particularly happy result for us.
It was a good start to the day.
She's a nice filly, Petition. I think she's the one with real ability. She's still in her first prep, so not sure what more she can achieve this prep, but I think she'll make a really nice horse.
The Ladbrakes Classic was the 2,000 metre race for the 3-year-old spots. What did you make of that race?
They just went really slow, Juppy.
Yeah.
You know, like we were talking with Brendan before, you know, it's when the jockeys pull up in front like that, it just becomes a bit of a case of dodgem cars, you know what I mean? And the horse that gets the least interference at the right time and is able to maintain that momentum usually wins, and those two horses were Peacock and Violate, and they ran the Quinella, so...
And do we need to forgive a few of these if they do progress onto the Derby?
The Derby, well, it was a 1,400 metre race. So a lot of these will probably...
the 2,000 metre race.
Oh, sorry. I'll talk about...
Jumpy skipped ahead. You
skipped ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm jumping around, Pots.
Sorry. You're talking about the good standing race?
Race 5.
Oh, Eleanor.
Yeah.
Eleanor. Again, so the 100 to 1 shot led there with Kate and Mellon, sort of just probably went along at a speed that was comfortable for it, but was extremely slow. So the 3 2,000 metre races on Saturday, I won't read out the exact times, but there was 3 seconds different, over 3 seconds difference, which is nearly 20 lengths between race 4, between the Phillies race and Vanbragh's race. So shows you how, what was occurring with some of the jockeys. Eleanor got a good run and out-sprinted him, really. There's not really much to say.
Could she win the Oaks?
I don't know. It's not a good base for anything.
I'm thinking I'm keen to oppose her come Oaks Day.
So just talking about what I was saying before about the stewards saying to the jockeys, if you get left in front, please keep going, keep your momentum going. But one of the reasons I'm saying that is, A, it helps limit the amount of interference that's going to be caused, and B, it's actually good for your horse.
Yeah.
Okay, it might not win the race that you're in on that day, but it gives them a really good preparation. So a horse there on Saturday, exposed to the wind, working in front, will be at a significant advantage next start. So, for example, I made Tom Melbourne a horse to follow. He sat outside, trailed the cleaner and ended up outside him turning for home or whatever. So he's been exposed to the wind the whole way. He's only just been caught by a horse that did have cover the whole way. Tom Melbourne, he's got a huge advantage over those horses at their next run. So, I'm sort of saying that to the stewards and the jockeys, because you can't just think about the race that you're riding in that day.
No. Voodoo Lad was, to my eye, pretty impressive in the last spots.
It was a really interesting race. What struck me about this race, I don't know what you boys think, but there were 2 horses targeted there, and they were back to the exclusion of every other runner. It was like whether it was the Hong Kong connection or some of the big pros just said, Takedown's a good horse and we're just going to keep backing him.
Yeah.
And the other camp, the big pros and maybe the Weir connection and the Weir punters just said, well, Voodoo Lad's got the right draw. He's drawn wider, which was a big advantage in that particular race. Well, it was more about just being drawn to be able to have momentum.
Yep.
Whereas Takedown,
which is what you needed.
Takedown was he was either going to have to lead or do what he did, box seat, and he's a horse that needs momentum. But he's obviously a better horse than I gave him credit for. Yep. But both of those runners just kept shortening. I thought it was very interesting. So I think Voodoo Lad winning that race was all about the barrier draw.
Yep.
And I'd be keen to back Takedown if they met again, in a situation that was more advantageous to Takedown. So,
well, I obviously get your set and had a look, and I was at the track and didn't get on early enough, and just thought I'll just bide my time here. And in the end, I didn't back Voodoo Lad, because by the time I got there, it was bare bones operation, and didn't really see it.
It was relentless.
I think you marked it 6-4. Is that what it was? Did you get it that short? I can't remember what.
I might have marked it 9-4 or something. But there was some scratches. I can't actually remember what.
There was a couple of scratchings.
He was a horse that I targeted on the day. I thought he was perfectly set up, being a Weir runner, coming off a Group 1 with the right draw. It was a horse I really wanted to back. But I just find it incredible to think he started 6-4, and Takedown was all 4-1 into 3-1. And it just never stopped.
Kiss your ass the rest,
forget the rest.
So with the big Cox Plate weekend coming up, for the week ahead, we've got stalls on today. We've got Geelong Cup Day tomorrow. You're doing your set down there, Potts?
Yeah, I'll be having a go at it. It's a difficult meeting, so I'm going to really be picking the eyes out of it, because we've got a lot of horses that we're getting our first look at tomorrow.
Pakenham on Thursday, Mornington during the day on Friday, Moonee Valley on Friday night, Moonee Valley and Sanarned and Yarra Valley on Saturday, and then it's Sale Cup Day on Sunday. So busy week ahead. So make sure you head to One to Follow, grab Potts' stuff. There's some other bits and bobs there that you can arm yourself with. You can't go wrong. Make sure head to Top Batter, join in the tournaments. They'll be great fun.
Yep.
We'll be back next week as we look back at the Cox Plate and look forward to Derby Day, and then we will be doing a cup preview on the weekend after that. So make sure you jump on and have a look at that. Jake, thanks for joining us,
Can I just say before we go, Jumpy, just in relation to the 2 meetings at Moonee Valley, I'll be doing selected races Friday and obviously a full set Saturday. The big thing at punters to keep in mind when they're doing their Cox Plate Day form is last year the rail went out, it was true on Friday night, and they moved it out to the 3 metre position on Saturday. This year they are going to leave it true.
Excellent.
I think it's a much better idea, and it'll mean that middle draws will be an advantage, I would think.
And let blokes like Brenton figure it out rather than trying to do it yourself.
Yep.
That'll do us for this week, guys. Good luck. We'll see you next.